Rappin' with ReefBum is sponsored by Bulk Reef Supply and Ecotech Marine.
Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Rappin' with ReefBum. I'm your host, Keith Perkelhammer. Well, on today's live stream, I welcome back Matt Pedersen. Welcome back there, Matt. What's going on?
A whole bunch of stuff, and yet not much. Right?
I think we got a lot to cover on tonight's live stream, and let me just do a quick intro of you, and then do some housekeeping, and then we're going to kind of get into it. So Matt is a senior editor and associate publisher with Reef to Rainforest Media and Coral magazines, and he is a senior editor and publishing partner with Aquatic Media Press and Amazonas. Matt has kept aquariums for 40 years. Is it 40 years now? Would you say? It was 39 the last time I had you on, so I just added a year.
It's 41.
It's 41. Okay, I stand corrected.
Yeah, 41.
41. Wow, you got me beat by about 10 years. He has worked in most facets of the aquarium trade as an active aquarist and fish breeder, both marine and freshwater, and was recognized with the 2009 Masna Award as the Masna Aquarist of the Year. But before we start chatting with Matt, I want to thank the sponsor for the show, both Bulk Reef Supply and Ecotech Marine. Really appreciate their support. And I also appreciate all you folks out there that are tuning in for the live stream. As per usual, please hit that like button so more people can find the stream. And while you're at it, if you haven't subbed to the channel, please do so. I'd be very, very grateful for that. And as per usual, all comments, questions, whatnot, just drop it in the chat. Matt's pointing to something there. I don't know what he's pointing to.
I'm pointing to your subscribe button.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I like that visual. I like that visual. So, all right, I pinned a comment at the top of the chat here in the live stream, and you have been gracious enough, you and the folks at Coral and Amazonas magazines, to give away some subscriptions, right?
Yes. We're gonna do one-year subscription, print and digital, to someone in the United States. You've got to be in the U.S., a U.S. address to receive it. So we're going to give a one-year subscription away to Coral tonight. We're going to do a little bit different with Amazonas. We have what we call a two-issue trial subscription. And I thought, what better to do than hit make three people happy. So we're going to give away 3 two-issue Amazonas subscriptions tonight as well. So that's 1 year. One lucky person will get a 1 year print and digital subscription to Coral. I don't know if you can see that well. And then 3 people will get 2 issues of Amazonas mailed to their door. And yeah.
So Matt, just for those that are not in tune with what Amazonas is all about, just give just a quick description what that publication is about.
Sure. So if you're familiar with Coral, Amazonas is the freshwater version of Coral. That's the easiest way. I was already writing and an editor for Coral when the Amazonas project started. And I was actually shown, it was at a MACNA, or James Lawrence, the publisher of Coral, showed me the German version of Amazonas and just handed me a copy and said, "What do you think?" And I just started looking through it, my jaw on the floor, going, "This is amazing." He's like, "Should we do it?" I said, yes, absolutely do it. Yes, this is amazing. And then about a year later, I was laid off from my regular job, and James said, "We're launching Amazonas right now. Why don't you join us and help with that?" And so that is how I went from being just kind of over here on the side to being really involved with Coral and Amazonas. Was joining as an associate publisher for both publications and helping launch Amazonas.
Very cool.
So, and then now Stefan and I own Amazonas.
Nice.
So that's yeah.
All right, so folks, you're going to have to at some point during this stream, we are going to provide the instructions on how to enter these giveaways. So you kind of got to stick with us for a little bit here.
Yes, you do.
To really get the instructions on how to enter. So we'll drop some more hints along the way as we're doing our discussion. So Matt, another bit of a treat here in terms of Coral Magazine. You've given us an exclusive right? In terms of the
Yes,
upcoming
yes.
issue of.
So
yeah, go for it, man.
we uploaded this on Tuesday. So it went to the printer on Tuesday. It's not even printed yet, but it's committed. It's solid. This is what it's going to be. So yeah, Keith, you get the privilege to show off the new cover. I sent you a lot of the images we use for what I call inside
I'm showing
look.
them right now.
Oh,
Scrolling
okay.
through
All right.
them.
Yeah. So let me see. Yeah, I don't know if you have any questions about any of them, or just want to give a.
I love
that
the Reef Visions section that you guys always. It's just some sick ass coral shots. It's really.
So have I ever told you how that came
No.
together? All right, this is a funny story. I think most people know. I'm going to stand up here for a minute. Look at the shirt. I'm known as a marine fish breeder. That's what I'm known for. And back, like the 2010s, the early 2010s, fish breeding was just going insane. And so I had a few people approach me at various shows, and they would say like, yeah, all this fish breeding content is great, but where's all the coral in Coral magazine? And I was like, yeah, oh, you're right. You're right. It is. We are very fish breeding heavy lately. Yeah, you're right. And we thought about it. And I had an idea of just like taking a whole bunch of pictures and just publishing them, and really just like a coral and a name. And it was actually James who said, no, that's not what we're going to do. And so we really, James kind of came back to me and said, what do you think of this? And it was kind of inspired by, by like how Kevin Cohen had kind of designed the live aquaria information, and that there was enough like granular information and a little bit of detail, but that format kind of lent itself to this, where we could really showcase a half dozen, up to a dozen corals. And then we changed it from originally it was Coral Visions to Reef Visions to allow it to open up more for the occasional fish or invertebrate. But that is how that came about. Was literally addressing the feedback from readers saying there's not enough coral in Coral magazine, and I said we can fix that forever. And
I see both Amanda and Chris Meckley are in the house, and I also believe that you featured a lot of their corals in the that section of the publication, right?
Absolutely, they are
Reef
one
Visions,
of the
a lot of ACI stuff.
Yeah, they are one of the routine contributors. There's maybe I don't know 15 different people I reach out to get that information together. So you'll see some people kind of come and go, and that's at their discretion, and also my discretion to I'm looking for the best of the best.
But usually ACI's got that, right?
They do. Amanda is a fantastic photographer. She is definitely. I'm not going to speak for Amanda. I'll just say she's a fantastic photographer, a wonderful collaborator. Amanda, good to see you in the chat, and very proud to get to work with you.
Hey, folks, I got a quick question, just a technical question. Let me know if you're having any issues seeing the video. I'm getting a little kind of weird thing in my streaming software. If there's any issues with the live stream, let me know. But I think we're good. I got a green light, but I've got some sort of strange message that I've never seen before. There's always like a curveball that you gotta like.
I'm seeing it here.
All right,
I'm seeing
it.
So
we're good.
Yeah, I see the whole delay and everything, and which is very disconcerting. But
okay,
I see it,
so I'm gonna just scroll through a couple more of these images. The sneak peek here, Matt.
Sure.
Reef keeping when there is no planet B. Breathe.
That was Martin Moe. That's an article from Martin Moe. He's still around.
Free the fishes. Bruce Carlson. Yep. Wow.
It's all about Hawaii and what's going on in Hawaii.
Very cool. And that's going to be a question on my list for you there, Matt, in terms of what is going on. Well, you can answer it right now if you want to. What is going on with Hawaii?
Everything's tied up in the courts still. Like the environmental impact statement has been accepted and approved, and it's just kind of like this bureaucratic grind is, I guess, the best way I would put it. But I'm an outsider to this whole process, so like at any moment we should have fish coming out of Hawaii. In theory, there's nothing stopping it now, but there is. So
red tape.
yeah, who knows?
What is this fishy addictions? This looks like some incredibly well-stocked tank that's going to be featured over the aquarium portrait.
So that is Rocky Alicio, aka the Coralito on Instagram, and he is our aquarium portrait. So I'm sure you remember when we did yours, and so that's he's our aquarium portrait this issue.
And yeah, all right, one more picture here I'll show, which is the Jason Fox, the Coral Whisperer, looks at stylos.
Well, so I don't know if you got the Russell image in there as well, but you kind of get a twofer on Stylosynelia. I got the Russell
image too.
Yeah, so you've got Russell Kelly talking about Stylosynelia in the wild, and then I said, wait a second, and Jason and I had an interview, and it ended up a whole second article just getting his perspective on stylos and sharing a lot of his cultivars. Basically. Is
that a Looney Tunes stylo?
It is.
Nice.
That's a Michael Vargas photo. I mean, I think most people who follow Coral know Michael Vargas is one of our staff photographers now. He's on the masthead. A well-deserved honor for him to be included, and another fantastic contributor and collaborator, and someone I love working with. And I will, take every chance I get to work with Michael Vargas.
Dude, I'm gonna give you a shameless plug right here for Coral Magazine, because I had surprisingly, I had not been a subscriber up until a few months ago, and let me tell you, man, I look forward to seeing that print edition coming in every month or every other month, right? It's every other month, and also
and so they're opposite. Coral comes, and a month later, Amazonas comes, and then the next Coral, because we share most of the same staff. So we flip-flop back and forth between the two.
If you haven't subscribed to Coral Magazine, wait until after the show. If you don't win that subscription, then you should really be seriously thinking of subscribing. I mean, this is like legit in terms of the contributors. I find the digital access to be really cool, because I'm a content provider, and I do some my own research every now and then, and I'm constantly like searching your archives, man, to find stuff and to because I know it's a legit source.
Well, that digital edition, that platform includes the archive going back to 2014. So that search in that everyone who's a subscriber gets digital access, and so you have digital copies of every back issue going back to 2014. So you want to see stories about clownfish, put it in. It will help you find them. The digital is really nice, and that's the other thing. The current issue, which I didn't think to send you a picture of, but there it is. That is the March-April issue that's on sale right now. Oh, there you go.
Double.
Nice. So that one, I'm more than happy to say that when this issue arrived and I started going through it, I was like, this is the quintessential Coral issue. This is like beautiful in every respect. That's the memories of Jake Acro from URI. There's articles in here. I'm a fish breeder. Well, there's no fish breeding, but we've got like Ramon Villaverde talking about larval rearing of harlequin shrimp. I mean, like, this is the stuff that as an aquarist just totally gets me going.
You got Vincent Chalias that contributes a lot.
Look at that.
Wow, did I tee that up for you or what, man?
You did. I mean, but like, this is Vincent talking about back when he was a collector and how they would find the Cycloceros. And these are all wild photos. I mean, like this coral right here, I'm not flicking anyone off here. Let's do it this way. I remember seeing this photo. This was mind blowing. And yeah, this Cycloceros is not going to be collected because it's in a national park.
Wow.
I mean, look at that. Look at that.
That's pretty unbelievable, man. That is outstanding. That looks like
incredible.
Full spectrum lighting too. I mean, that's like the real colors. That's the real deal.
Yeah. And I love that it's I think this is a Diaceras, like what we would have called a Diaceras, because you can see the multiple mouths in there. So were something like this to get into the trade, it's something that could be fragged and a cultivar that could be named. And so I mean, I was really proud of this issue, and this is now the free sample. If you go onto coralmagazine.com or reef2rainforest.com and look at the free sample digital, this is the issue you get to read. So everyone gets to read this one for free. Nice. And you can try it out. You try it out on your device, see if you like how it works on your device, and that way you're not out the money. If you can try before you buy. It's the best sales pitch I can make. So
I think this is a good segue in terms of our discussion about kind of the world today that we live in terms of social media, and there just being so much content out there, and what source is valid and what source is not. And there's a lot of people that are pushing out content that might sound like they know what they're talking about, but perhaps they don't are not the best source of that kind of information. So what are your thoughts in terms of social media, and how do you guys really try to kind of navigate that in terms of what you do and put out there?
Well, so for social media, we are just sharing our supplemental content, letting people know we're here. That's my goal for social media is Coral and Amazonas exists. Here's a look at what we do, and we provide either supplemental info or small bits of news that support what we do, but it's all in support of this. It's all in support of this 2-month effort to put together something that's vetted and quality and is going to stick on your shelves. I'm not going to turn my computer around, but I've got every issue of Coral on the shelf right there. Every issue of Amazonas is up there. They become a reference library. They're not just, you could recycle it. I don't think anyone really recycles their corals and Amazonases. They become a library. So, I
guess what I was trying to get at is, how do we, as a hobbyist, let's say, how does a hobbyist navigate this minefield of information overload that we have out there? I mean, you've got a lot of unfiltered, a lot of unsubstantiated information out there. You've got a lot of content creators on YouTube that are just really trying to generate likes, really, versus passing along, that usable content that could potentially help them.
So we talked about this a little bit, and I have a 12-year-old son, and I think I mentioned this to you in a chat earlier this week, who suddenly, my 12-year-old son is aspiring to be basically a YouTuber. But he doesn't really know what that means, and what he's pushing out there, which we had to lock my son down. All devices, like, you're publishing stuff to YouTube. The agreement was we get to see it first and decide, and then that didn't happen. And he's publishing, like, I get it. He's a 12-year-old, but it was like I had to have a serious conversation with my 12-year-old to say, like, what are you adding to the world? Where's the value in what you're doing? And he actually said to me, my 12-year-old son, well, I'm going to put it out there and see what people like. And it's like, so you're going to pander to your audience and you're going to give them what they want, even if it's garbage. Like, I was like, that's how we got Johnny Knoxville and Jackass, right? That's the ultimate pandering to your audience. Just like, there's no, it's whatever. It's, if you like that, I'm not knocking you, but that's not what I'm about. I'm about putting important stuff out in the world that matters and making sure we get our facts right. And knowing that when you get one of these, I know what's gone into it. I know the person who's written it. We know what their background is, and that segues into one of the big things we wanted to talk about today. So, social media is, I wish I didn't have to be on it. I never wanted to be on it. But I had to, as a Flash developer and developing apps for companies. Yeah, you had to be on social media. It's part of the world. But it's like Facebook. It's impossible to find what you're looking for. Your feed is filled with a whole bunch of stuff you don't care about. And when they try to make it easier for you with their algorithms, you invariably lose something else. It's to the point where, like, you say to your friend, "Did you see what I posted on Facebook the other day?" And they go, "No." And then you have to send them the link and say, "Here it is." So yeah, I don't know. Social media tends to be, for me, a bit of a rabbit hole that just whiles away time, and I don't really get a lot back out of it.
Well, there's a big, I think the thing that generates a lot of likes, a lot of views, and all that stuff is the entertainment aspect of it. People like to be entertained, and I think sometimes when that goes on, that you kind of lose the educational aspect of it, because it's just you're trying to be goofy or attract attention, and that kind of takes away from the learning experience, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to be on there to watch for things like news. I have to be like going through my feed looking for, is there anything of value here that I feel more people need to see? And that's a arduous task, to the point where I don't want to do it. So like, it's just and that's Facebook. I don't really do much on Twitter. I've never gotten the attraction of Twitter. It just seems like
neither have I.
Like being on Discord.
I've never been a Twitter guy.
Until I learned how to mute the alerts from Discord. My phone was digging like every 2 minutes, all hours of the day and night, and it was just driving me nuts, to the point where I just deleted Discord. Like, I don't need this. I don't want to do this. So as part of that is being an old fart at this point, and not wanting to change and learn these new platforms. But like, I don't know. Like Instagram, it's pretty, but now my Instagram is half ads.
Yeah, that's pretty much how my wife shops now, is like Instagram feed and ads pop. I was like, what? what are you buying now? It's like, oh, it's an Instagram ad. Just some comments from the viewers. Rob, upstate New York. Matt, I'm a printer by trade, and your Coral magazine has the best quality printing issue after issue. Eric
thank you.
Coral magazine has been great for years. Barry Goss Sr., Joe Biden. I'm not exactly sure what that comment's all about, but High Tide Aquatics. Matt does the best articles, so detail oriented. Jason Langer, influencers are not educators. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So, all right, man. I think what you were going to kind of segue into was artificial intelligence, right? AI, and
we talked a lot about that.
Yeah.
Leading up to this. Yeah, and I know some of our friends in the chat are wanting to hear and see and talk AI. So, I don't know. What do you want to start? Do you want to say something?
Well, I don't know where to begin, man. There's you pass along so many different examples. So why don't you start off in terms of like artificial intelligence and how potentially it can impact the information that is generated out there in terms of content, and what you kind of see are the slippery slopes, and then we can kind of go through a whole bunch of different examples to kind of show what AI is generating out there potentially.
Yeah. So, excuse me again. Shouldn't be drinking Pepsi right now. I think hopefully most people tuning in right now know that AI has become a flashpoint and a talking point in the news in the past couple months. You've probably seen it in social media in the last 6 months, where people are using generative AI image generators, for example, to create artwork and to create imagery that doesn't exist. And then ChatGPT has been the dominant hot topic as of late when it comes to generating content and interaction with an artificial intelligence. It's not a person responding to you, it's the computer. I think a lot of us have probably experienced maybe what I would call a precursor, like a lot of the automated chat support that's come up, where you're dealing with a chat bot first before you get to a real person. That kind of, putting that computer device and software in front of you to kind of see if it can direct you without involving a person. And then I think if I look at this, seeing something like ChatGPT, that's the natural progression. It's better technology. It can maybe do a better job, on and on and on. And so that's, I think what I want to say about all of that is that whether we're talking about an image generator or a chat or a text generator, it's only able to more or less give back what it knows. So whatever it was trained on and built on, that's what it has. So,
I'm going to interrupt you for a second. So I think the major concern, right, is that these are free tools out there that anybody can pretty much gain access to, these AI generating type of tools. And so if anybody wants to start a blog or anybody wants to generate some pictures, what have you, they can use this, you'd call it a software tool or whatever, I don't know what you would call it, to generate a real article that looks factual, that somebody can access on the internet if they Google it, find an article that is written by somebody that utilized AI, and the AI generates this content based on algorithms, I guess, that it crawls the internet to find.
Well, so it doesn't actually crawl the internet. It has a kind of a closed environment. It's a data set. I mean, they were built on crawls of the internet and the information that was gathered from the internet. But they are a little bit closed. Like, I can't ask an AI about a company that was just founded because it doesn't have access to the internet to go out and look and find and come back. But I think the perfect example is I created something about myself. Well, I'm on the internet. It has information about me, and it put something back, and it did it for you too. We can talk about that.
Should we show the pictures it generated for me?
Oh, sure. That's just a fun one. So let me see which one are you going to show first?
You sent me 4 different. So
well, I sent you 8. But
you sent me 8. I'm only showing 4 of them. So basically, I think you entered my name and ReefBum, and it spit out a description: a middle-aged Caucasian man, slim build, long beard, wearing a baseball cap, who is named Keith Berkelhammer. He is starting into a large-scale reef aquarium full of corals and fish. Right, and I meant to say staring, which is where the second one comes from. And then these are 4 of the images that it generated of me. I mean, it looks like I got a split beard. First of all, I mean, I got this like long gray beard that could be a split beard for all I know, and I look like some biker dude that's just hanging in front of the. I mean, they actually look like pretty nice tanks, but there are some dead giveaways, like that one on the lower right-hand corner with that amazing, striking orange corals just sticking out. But if you look close enough, those corals don't really look real.
No, and the second one I sent you is a little better. I don't know if you have that one teed up too.
I don't.
Okay, well, so the second one was a slightly different set of input and a more modern. So this is Midjourney is the software, the AI, and these are basically composite images of a bunch of different things, and it creates these exact pictures don't exist. These exact people don't exist. At least to the best of our knowledge and how these softwares work, they shouldn't exist.
So that's supposed to be me.
Well, that's what I put in, and it doesn't know who you are. It does know, like,
but it's weird because there are images of me on the internet. You would think it would grab that.
But it's in whatever data set that this was built off of, and it's actually to not to get into the weeds, but like Midjourney and the data set that it uses are being sued right now for copyright infringement because there's claims that these images weren't legally procured and used for the purposes they're used for. U.S. Copyright Office has said you can't copyright protect any AI generated images or artwork. So this is all like a legal gray area right now.
Gotcha.
But anyone can play with it, and you can do stuff with that. It's like, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead, keep going.
No, I was just gonna say, like, where this leads to. Like, these are dead giveaways now. I'm just gonna throw out a prediction. 2 years from now, you're not gonna be able to tell. That's my guess. Another couple of years, if people are allowed to pursue this further, the flaws that we see now, unless they're retained specifically for the purposes of letting people know it's not legit, they're going to be indistinguishable. Yeah. At which point the whole phrase of fake news has a whole new meaning.
For sure.
Yeah. So, but that was me and those were generated in about 2 minutes while we were chatting earlier today. Just typed it in and said, "Here, check this out."
So we're gonna go through a couple more examples, and we would encourage you folks out there that are watching to drop some stuff in the chat to kind of help test AI, right? So if you want to go ahead.
I have all so we can talk about the text, but I have all 3 of the AIs that I've been playing around with, and I should say, the point of this for me, it's science, and to see what technology can do, but also to have a better understanding of it, and to understand, I feel like I joked earlier today, I'm at that stage in my life where new technology is now something to be feared rather than embraced. There is, I look at these tools and say they are tremendous creative tools. And if we treat them as such, well, okay. Whether I should pay anyone any kind of money for using one of these tools, no, I don't feel that's appropriate. I feel that's academic dishonesty on multiple levels.
It's cheating.
It is.
It's cheating.
But people in the future may not feel that way.
Yeah.
That's not my judgment call.
Yeah.
But so I've got 3 text generators open right now. I've got Bard, ChatGTP, and then the Playground from OpenAI, which is also the company that does ChatGTP. And so we can put stuff in and put it through the paces. And I know we did some earlier today that were really interesting.
Yeah.
So those might be good ones to examine.
Yeah. Let's go through a couple of examples.
Sure. Okay.
Let me first thank High Tide Aquatics Oakland for that super chat. Really appreciate that. Their comment is, thanks for the great content always, Keith, and thank you, Matt, for the great articles and continued information. So yeah, folks, I think we would love to kind of, if you want to put stuff in the chat in terms of what to kind of run through the AI, that would be great. Here's an example of what you can do, right? So Matt, I said, hey, can you put in like Green Valley Slimer and see what it spits out? Green Valley Slimer. And this is the 4 different images that it spit out of the Green Valley Slimer. It looks absolutely nothing. It got the green part right, but it looks absolutely nothing like a Green Valley Slimer. And here's an actual Green Valley Slimer. This used to be in one of my tanks. It's staghorn. It's a branching coral, and the AI Green Valley Slimer came back looking like this, which was bizarre. Is that even, are those even like real corals? I don't think those are real corals.
Oh, no. They're artistically generated renditions of what a coral might look like. Although I think, do you have teed up the foxes?
Yes,
I sent you?
I do.
Yes. So one of the things I've noticed playing around with the image generator, since that's what we're talking about, is that there are certain things it simply understands better than others. So like it doesn't really know what a Green Valley Slimer is. But it picked up on green and coral, and it put that together and created some green corals, which, some of those are really interesting. Like, I think some of those we'd love to have in our tanks, right?
For sure.
Like that one on the bottom left, that really any of these I'd like to have, but none of them exist. They're not real. But that's not always going to be the case. But okay, so here's the foxes. I fooled a lot of my friends when I posted that fox image. And it understands what a fox is supposed to look like. And there was, I've been putting the prompts with these images, like, because if you change a couple sayings or words, you're going to get something different. And every time you run it, you're going to get something different. But yeah, these fox pictures, some of my friends were like, wow, those are great photos.
Great shot.
Like, yeah, I didn't make any of those. I didn't, no, that was the point. Like those pictures of the men, if I didn't know what you actually looked like and someone put that picture out and said, this is Keith Berkelheimer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And we move on.
Yeah. Right. You don't know.
And
you don't know.
Yeah. And so when it comes to images, I mean, we should not really be surprised when we think about all the CGI artwork and movies that we watch, like Avatar. You can fully embrace that as being real. I mean, the lines of reality are really being blurred at this point.
You put in Euphilia Garden, and this is what popped up.
So there were 2. Did you put both of those in there?
I only put I put one of them in. So we got 4 images of the first Euphilia. It looks awesome, but it's completely fake. I mean, it's not realistic at all.
So I gotta see which one you put in there.
Okay.
Because I sent you the version 4 generator and then the version 5
I think
generator.
I'm showing a version 4.
So it looks like cartoons?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so that's version 4. Version 5 looks a lot closer to reality. And that's, that shows the power. Oh, no, that is version, I think that's version 5. I don't know. But either way, they're cool. You'd love to have a tank that looked like that, right?
Yeah, I think there's the one on the lower left looks sort of like a Milka Stylo. The purple it looks like a like a Milka Stylo in the lower portion of that.
And the lower right looks like green bird's nest and carnation corals to me.
Yeah. What did somebody ask in the chat here? Reefs in another universe. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. This is you put in Rappin with ReefBum podcast logo.
Oh yes. So I was sharing that with you because I remember trying Fiverr one time. I needed a logo for one of my gardening businesses. And what I got back out of Fiverr was the designer stole clip art off the internet and slapped words on it and sent it to me, and I paid for that. And I flipped out, obviously. But this is not acceptable. This is copyright infringement. I'm not paying for this. But what I had noticed when I was playing in the public areas of Midjourney was a lot of people were putting in logo design, and so it really made me think geez, I'm paying hundreds of dollars for a logo, and someone can just go in here and be like, logo like this, and boom, they get stuff, and they could send it back to you and be like, here, $200, $500, $1,000, whatever. Did you really earn that money? No, absolutely not in my world. But also, more to the point, where did this stuff really come from? And this goes back to the image stuff, which is these are all the composite images of other things and styles that it has picked up on and learned. And so the lawsuit is basically stipulating that this is derivative work and actually by nature a copyright infringement, and shouldn't be allowed to even happen.
Put it in.
That's for the courts to decide.
Try this, Matt. Can you put in what is the best way to eliminate cyanobacteria? Let's see what happens when it.
So we want to do some text.
Let's see what happens there, and then you can read it back to us. I'm curious what's going to pop up in that one.
I wonder if I can put it in chat. If it's long enough.
You could.
Let me see here. So I'm going to do playground first, just because it generally gives short answers. Reduce. Yes, this is definitely advice that no one should follow ever. Oh, this is bad.
Put it in the chat, man.
But the thing is, I will. Let me see here. I gotta change windows here. Let's see if I can
treat cyanobacteria.
I'm over. I'm gonna have to do it in two segments.
Okay.
Segments here. Let's see. Okay, so there's part 1, and there's part 2. So that was out of OpenAI's
copper
playground.
Sulfate,
and I love. Yeah, that was like the holy hell. So and the question I asked it is, what is the best way to eliminate cyanobacteria? Now, I probably have to refresh. Let's try Bard next. Bard just was released recently. Let's see. And these other two tend to give longer responses, and they tend to be a little better.
More credible.
Yeah, I can't paste all that in. Yeah, and that's kind of part of the problem, because I can tell you none of these softwares have ever kept an aquarium. Maybe that's the number one thing I should just say. None of these sources of information have ever put their hand in an aquarium ever, and that right off the bat should be reason for suspicion and skepticism. So Bard tells me physical removal. I'm just glossing over chemical treatment, UV light. So let's irradiate our tanks with UV light. Diet changes.
Okay.
I don't really know what that means. Water changes, improved filtration, and reduced light. And I don't think that's going to help in a reef tank if your corals need the light. So, yeah. So, I think I can try to paste this in here, but I don't think I need to. Let's try ChatGPT with the same question. Now it's actually rendering it out right now. This is kind of fun to play with.
All right, here's a real technical question for AI, and it's one that you
Sure.
You said you were talking about with Rich Ross. Is UVB important to coral health?
Yes, and so we had those earlier ones, and yeah, it just was mind blowing. Some of the responses that we would get, and if you read them, they sound credible.
Right. So somebody that has is pretty well like a beginner in this hobby that wants to create a blog, a saltwater aquarium blog, can use these tools. I talked about this before to generate that seemingly credible articles in a matter of like minutes. That could be 500, 600, 700, 800 words. I mean, I blog. And it's darn tough, to kind of come up with a topic, write about it, edit it, fact check it, and all that stuff. But with these tools, a couple minutes, you're good to go.
Yeah,
that's scary.
And there's nothing stopping you. There's no, I mean, so I think they're interesting. I think I told you my son was playing around with it on his friend's phone when we were driving to a soccer practice, and they put in ChatGPT, tell me how, give me a rap about sea turtles playing soccer underwater. And boom, it spit out a rap in the format of a rap with verses and choruses, all about sea turtles playing soccer underwater. But 95% of what was in there was generic fluff. It was like a Mad Libs, like you could put in anything. Rich Ross sent me a really interesting thing that he did with ChatGPT, which I can share with you. They're kind of long. I don't think I want to read the whole thing, but in a nutshell, he basically asked, why do octopuses make great pets and why do they make terrible pets? And basically the AI used all the exact same points about octopuses, like they're intelligent. So they are very intelligent. They recognize their owners, solve puzzles, play games. They can be trained and interacted in ways that are fun and enriching for the pet owner. And then the exact same quality of an octopus, they're curious and intelligent animals that require a lot of mental stimulation. In captivity, they become bored, may try to escape their tanks, which can be dangerous for both the octopus and the people around it.
Gotcha.
So you kind of have to look at this and go, what? Like it's like confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Like that was the one. What was the one that I tried earlier today? Oh, it was the garlic one. Tell me how to cure cryptocaryn with garlic. And that one is that one was like, my jaw was on the ground. I mean, to be fair, some of the AIs were like, yeah, that's not a good idea. And here's other ways that work. But two of them were like, if you're going to do it, here's how you do it.
Yikes.
Like, what kind of advice is that? Like the one that said, put the cloves of garlic in a filter bag and put it in a filter and then monitor and test the levels of garlic in the tank. Because if they're too high, they will be toxic to the fish.
Okay.
So, yeah, like, it sounds entirely credible, and if you don't know, you would not know. I
was just going to say we have a couple more requests from the viewers here in terms of some AI.
Okay.
Jason Langer. Okay. As much as I do not like AI text or AI art, I'm curious about what fish cookies will produce.
Here, tell me about. I know what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm going to run this through all three really quickly
cookies.
Here. My query, my query is tell me about Jason Langer and his fish cookies.
Okay.
And I'm putting that into all three right now. We'll see what we get. Let's see. So playground is quick. I don't need to do the other ones. This is gold. Oh yeah. I'm going to paste this into chat. This is gold. See, that's the thing. It's entertaining and fun, sure, but so I'm going to, it's too long again. I got to put this
Barry Goss Sr. So how are we going to teach new reefers how to filter out the fake AI bloggers?
Well, that might be hard. But I've got an idea here, so just
Jason
bear with me
Langer
here.
is the inventor of the fish cookie. The fish cookie is a delicious snack made from real fish. That is, yikes. That's not good for business, Jason.
High protein, low in fat, rich in omega-3 fatty acids. He created the fish cookie as a healthy and tasty alternative to traditional snacks. The fish cookie is made with sustainable wild-caught Alaskan pollock, wild-caught Pacific cod, and real vegetables. The fish cookie is also gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, and non-GMO.
Jason,
it is a healthy, convenient, and delicious
Jason,
snack.
if your company is public, that stock is plummeting right now.
Oh, God. I don't think we can top that one.
Oh, man. Jeez.
But I think, my concern is that for ones like this that come out, you also get really close. And right now, there's still enough errors that someone like me, someone like Keith, who's been in this a long time, is going to sniff out the little problems and go, there's something not right here. Or flat out, there's something absolutely wrong here. A couple of years from now, I don't know. And so, my sales pitch, for me, being a publisher of something like this, I was like, well, this is more important than ever. This is something you can trust. The people behind it. That we are trying to sniff this stuff out. And one of the ways we sniff stuff out is by not accepting random submissions from strangers. It's like we get those every day, especially for blog posts. We get people who email Amazonas. Do you accept guest posts? I'm looking. Do you need articles on fish?
It's AI, man. It's AI reaching out to you.
Oh, it very well could be someone wanting to leverage that at this point, because if they can make a quick $100 or $50 or whatever, getting articles put out wherever with little or no work.
Yeah, 2 minutes for $100. That's pretty damn good, man. I'll take that rate.
If you're being entrepreneurial, well, maybe leverage what's out there and do it to your advantage. That's capitalism. Doesn't mean it's good.
Brady Haynes makes a good point. AI sounds like the typical forum advice.
And so that was, I'm going to credit where credit's due to Rich, who, when we were talking about this today, he's like, yeah, wait until the AI is trained on forums. Wait until that set of data is part of what's being pulled into the AI as information. Because now, right now, when I said, tell me how banana cures ick, they all said no. But someone somewhere might have said that. And I think there was something like the garlic thing comes along. Like someone might have put out, here's my protocol for using garlic in my tank. Mash it up, do this, do that. And the AI just spit it back. You don't know where it's coming from. You have no idea what the veracity is. So, we have the death of truth and the death of experts. That's becoming an increasingly rare thing in our society. And I'm just looking at this very small subset of reef keeping information and aquarium keeping information, and already knowing how bad things can be online, because people who are new are always looking for the answer that fits what they think, that confirmation bias. Or they're looking for things that sound true. They sound right. That's the whole thing about the UV and the UVB. And I don't know enough about it, but I didn't just take it at face value. And one of the first questions I was like, well, okay, so UV hits the water, and I know water filters out light and various wavelengths of light at various depths, which is why it's all blue down below. Does the UV even make it to those corals? And I think the answer is no.
You know what would be interesting?
So,
this is interesting, because I'm going to have Tulio on in a couple of weeks. Sure. Tulio from Reef Brite. Can you put in, like, what does Tulio think of UV B?
I don't know if he'd have it or not. Well, let me try.
Delaquia. What the spelling?
Yeah.
Hang on one second.
I think I got it.
Because that's a question I'm going to ask Tulio. What's going on with the UVB?
Yeah, so part of it, this might be new. So it wouldn't have necessarily scraped the internet. Yeah, that's not right, and I'm not going to repeat it.
You don't want to put that blatantly false information out there?
Well, it says he owns Reef to Rainforest.
Really? So, Tulio does?
I know why. Yeah, it's because I accidentally put in my email address with it, so it recognized the domain. Let me try that again here. It's thinking. This is Bard. ChatGTP couldn't give me anything, and Playground is pretty wide open, hence the name Playground.
Yeah, how can you trust a name like Playground?
I mean, it's to play around with the software. I get it. It's he believes. Oh well, so this is an example of putting in something that isn't doesn't have enough info. So it's talking about UVB treatment for skin conditions and psoriasis and vitiligo, and that's obviously not it. But I didn't say about UVB and coral. So let's try that. And I know we're just kind of playing around, and let's try coral health. He believes that UVB radiation has a positive effect on coral health. He states that coral reefs exposed to moderate level of UV radiation tend to be healthier than those that aren't. That doesn't happen in the real world. No. There aren't coral reefs that are and are not exposed to UV radiation. Radiation helps simulate the production of certain beneficial compounds in coral tissues. So it's a bunch of vapid nonsense. And it's just riffing off of Tulio and coral health, because that's what I put in there, and taking things it knows about coral reefs.
So it's just kind of it's like bullshitting, you know? It's just kind of like doing its best to put bullshit together to make it sound credible.
And it does sound credible. That's the perfect thing. It's an absolute genius BS artist. That's exactly what it is.
Right. It's kind of like the guy that doesn't know what he's talking about, that is just kind of like, you know, putting on a great show.
I mean, it is the guy. It is the software that has no idea what it's talking about at all. It's just parroting and cobbling. And the thing is that all this information comes from other places. Whether it's the phrasing and the way it says things, or the things that it's saying, it's taking little snippets and just weaving it all together and giving you something.
Jason
that sounds
Langer is saying Matt is enjoying this too much. This is a good point in time, Matt, to remind everybody that we're doing this giveaway. You know, so
sure.
At some point very soon, we're going to tell you folks how you can enter this subscription giveaway. So there's going to be one Coral Magazine subscription giveaway, right? So it's 1 year, 6 issues, including digital issues in the U.S.
In the U.S.,
right?
Got to be in the U.S. Yep.
6 issues, digital access as well, and then 2 Amazonas Magazine, which get 3 subscriptions, right? Which are 2 issues for
2 issue subscriptions, 3 of them. So we just split it up so more people get to enjoy.
So
a couple things.
Folks, stick around a little bit. We're going to provide the instructions on how to enter those giveaways. So Matt, go man, go.
I just wanted to address that one question of like, how are we ever going to be able to figure this out? And I think, you know, it really is reliable, trustworthy sources, because I could start a whole new website and have AI just start spitting out species accounts and just, you know, flooding a website really quickly full of information that, you know, me as an experienced aquarist, I recognize the flaws and I could fix them, which makes it even more dangerous. Because it's still going to fool me. There's still going to be something in there that, for whatever reason, the editor, didn't pick up on. Like we had it give us the name for the scientific name of hammer coral, and it gave us the old one. It gave us Euphilia ancora, but now it's Fimbrophilia, and the AI doesn't know that. And the AI gave us a whole bunch of other stuff about anchor corals that weren't even relevant, or hammer corals. Sorry, but it didn't know, and if I didn't know, I could just pass it along. And so, you know, I look at coral and I know that Amazonas is even better, because you've got like 5 or 6 people proofing everything, and we're all aquarists who know what we're talking about, and we all find different things. There's always something that slips by me that someone else finds, and it's horrible proofing your own work. And I'm talking whether it's just misspelling a name, like you can't proof your own work. You need someone else to go look at it to make it the best it can be. So that's a hard thing when you're a kid. And your teacher's like, no, do it again or whatever. But as an adult, I get it. And it's value added. I know, and we still, once in a blue moon, will publish something that's a mistake. We're human. But we're trying our damnedest to make sure we're only giving you the correct information. And we put a lot of labor into doing it. It takes a long time. Interviewing Jason, I had to sit down with Jason, I had to have a conversation, I had to know what questions to ask. We had to have a lot of back and forth. Then I sent it to him. He looked it over, said, "Oh, you got this wrong. This is right. Tell me all about these." There was this whole back and forth process. And then May with her photos. And then it goes off to the whole editorial staff to review too. So it's not the work of me just sitting at my desk one afternoon and putting up a blog post. Totally fundamentally different. And I mean, my appreciation for that interview I did with Jason Fox is like, wow, we talked about legacy corals a little bit before, and Jake's corals and getting those stories out. And I look at some of what Jason does is the same way. We can talk about cultivar names and what I think about those. But I got a little bit more of the information about Jason's stylos preserved in print. And 10 years from now, that's still going to be there. And if you have his banana sunset or whatever it was, I can't remember. I'm sorry, Jason. But if you have his coral and you had coral, you could go back, look and say, oh, it was collected here. Here's a little bit of the backstory on how we found it. There's more meaning to that now than there was before. So a blog post is not going to convey that depth and quality of information. And AI absolutely can't do it. Who knows, 10 years from now, maybe it scans coral and it steals my hard work and passes it off as its own, because that's kind of what it's doing.
I think it's already doing that, man. So Matt, you mentioned Jake, and I think this is a great segue to talk about Jake. And
Sure.
Listen, I mean, he talk about a credible source of information. Jake was a very opinionated guy, but he just lived, breathed, and died, reef tank stuff. And so even though he was very opinionated, he really, had the real life experience, and he did his own research. And listen, it's a big loss, right, for the industry to kind of like lose a content provider, a person, like Jake, in terms of what he was putting out both in print and on video. But what do you think in terms of the overall impact of losing Jake in terms of the hobby? It impacted a lot of people.
I still get choked up thinking about it. So he and I go way back, went way back. And I remember when he was like really arrogant, but he was also a person that had every right to be arrogant because he really knew his shit. I told it, he knows I said this about him, like, yeah, he might be an asshole, but he's my asshole. I know that I'm on his good side, but I had to earn that, and vice versa. It's funny because we have a couple catchphrases that have come up in our conversation. The fake news, AI is all fake news, as far as I'm concerned, and then do your own research, which to some people can mean, well, just go find what you want to believe on the internet and parrot it, and you've done your own research because the internet says this. Anyone can publish anything on the internet.
Yeah,
anyone can do it. Like, there's nothing, like, you have to approach.
You don't have to pass a test to be a content creator.
No, you just have to write it and find a way to put it out there, and it's out there.
Don't need a degree.
Don't need anything. No. And there's no one to look at you and say, that's not right. And oftentimes when someone does pop up who may or may not have the right to say that's not right, people get angry, like, well, who are you? And we just evolve into this madness. Whereas you put something in here, it had to pass a whole series of people to say, yeah, this is good. This is right. This is true. This is, yeah, we are willing to commit this to print. And it's funny because Jake used to tell me, why are you printing magazines? He's like, magazines are dying. Paper's dying. It's like, no. and in the last year of his life, he would get the magazines, he would read them, but he would often like bum them from his friends, or like just go pick one up at the local store. And I would give him a hard time, like, why aren't you a subscriber? Like, this is what feeds my kid. You're my friend. and so he got a subscription to Amazonas, and like within like a month, he's like, holy cow, this is incredible. I get it now. And I hope everyone can trust that I'm not making that up. It is basically the gist of, I probably have the text message still. But I was humbled because I feel like I convinced a person who's very hard to convince otherwise. And he usually has really good reasons for what he's saying. And I'm still talking about him in the first person. I mean, he's still with us. That legacy and what he brought to the table is going to carry forward, especially the fact that, you can still go watch his videos. You can still hear his voice. And Jake did his own research in the way of actually getting his hands wet and really digging in and looking at something and trying out what he did. And Jake wasn't always the first to do something or say something. A lot of times when it came to news, he and I would like scoop each other, which is friendly. But I wrote about it when I was thinking about him. But oh my God, if I was halfway through something and it showed up on Reef Builders, I was like, what the? And then every once in a while, I would beat him to something, and then it just wouldn't be talked about. Well, Matt did it. I don't need to do it now. Move on. And there was a long time where I wrote for both Coral and Reef Builders, and eventually I just had to tell Jake, I would cover the same story but in two different ways, and it just got to a point with kids where I just did not have the time to do that dance. I had a lot of respect for Jake and what he brought to the table and the way he brought people together. And you had to earn it. You had to earn his respect. And if you didn't have it, you hadn't earned it. It wasn't necessarily, I don't want to say he was dismissive, but he only had so much time in his life, clearly. So he was judicious about who he chose to associate with. And that wasn't a snub to the people that he didn't know well enough. There was a reason. And you had to get to know him. You had to prove yourself. And I feel like that, that's how he was. We are at a loss. There is no other Jake Adams that I know of. So there's no one else like him.
Yeah.
I don't see that person. That person might be out there somewhere. There might be some young reef aquarists right now watching and might be the next Jake Adams, but it's going to take time to get there. There was so much more to come from him, is how I feel about it. Like, we were robbed of a future that would have done. He was just settling into like being, I hate to say like the best version of himself, but that's really like where he was going. I think, getting married, starting a family. I mean, it changed my life. I'm sure it changes everyone's life. And I think it really kind of mellowed him out a little bit. And he started to care about things that maybe he didn't care about, or he started to be maybe a little more respectful and patient, and see the bigger picture sometimes. And I miss the random texts. I miss the random phone calls, and I'm not going to get those back, but I'm really glad that I had them. So.
Yeah, it's something. It says something about the man when you get a lot of people that I've seen kind of like in social media comments that people have mentioned about Jake's passing. Like, listen, I didn't know him, I never met him, but his loss just blows me away. And same with me. I got to know him really well the last couple of years when I had him on a few times on the live stream, and we talked. I only met him once in person, but. Man, it just really, really threw me, and I just can't imagine in terms of Windsor and the family and the folks that were really close to him day in and day out, how they felt about it. But it's just it seems kind of surreal that he's not here anymore.
Yeah, it was not expected at all, obviously. So.
Yep, ACI Aquaculture, he will always be with us for sure, Chris. Yep.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, man. What else do we did we have on our list to cover here, Matt? I think Masna, right? You wanted to talk about Masna.
Hey, now you asked me. Let's be honest. You asked me, and I said I'll ask. I'll find out for you. So
go ahead.
Yeah,
man.
it is something that a lot of people are talking about, and just in social media circles. Especially with Magna being canceled for this year. So,
and Matt, give people background in terms of your involvement with Masna.
Okay, so, for anyone who doesn't know, MASNA is the Marine Aquarium Societies of North America. It's kind of you could consider it a national reef club, a national marine aquarium club. You could be an individual member, but it's also for societies and businesses. So you can be a a corporate member, business member rather, if you run a reef club, like let's say DFW MAS, down in Dallas, they are probably, if they're not, they should be. I'm talking to you guys, a MASNA member as a club. It's kind of like the club of clubs. It used to bring MACNA to the clubs and work with the clubs to put on MACNAs, which are the Marine Aquarium Conference of North America. It's really long running at this point, other than the pandemic, obviously, and then now this. So my involvement, I run the MASNA Awards Committee, which involves basically all of us getting together, taking nominations from the public, well, from MASNA members. Let's be specific. You have to be a MASNA member to nominate someone for the MASNA Award, which is more of a lifetime achievement award, if you will, or the Aquarist of the Year, which is meant to recognize someone who's made a big contribution in the last calendar year, basically. And so those nominations come in. All the past recipients of those awards discuss them. There's a voting process, and that's how we get our new recipients every year. And so I kind of manage that and oversee that. I took that over when Rob Mouget stepped down and retired from his leadership at MASNA after like a decade. I said, I can't fill your shoes, but is there something I can do? Part of what you do. You do so much, Rob. What could I do that would take part of this burden off from whoever's going to fill your role? And that's kind of how we ended up in this position. And so I am a MASNA Award recipient, and I run this committee, but it's the involvement of everyone that makes it happen. So that's my involvement. So I'm not on the board. I don't speak for MASNA. But I did have a conversation with Dennis right before the show. And here's the key things that I can convey about MASNA. Number one, it's still here. It's clearly suffering from the pandemic. My own club, my Lake Superior Marine Aquarium Club, is gone because of the pandemic. We couldn't meet, and then we lost our meeting place. We lost our public project, which was a reef tank at the Lake Superior Aquarium Zoo. We've dumped tens of thousands of dollars into that project. We're not allowed access to it during the entirety of the pandemic. And when I finally got a hold of someone, the CEO of the zoo had changed for like the fourth time. The keepers that were involved in the tank were gone. And the keeper who was in charge of the tank said, we're going to put hellbenders in it. That's like, I'm sending the agreement, and they're like, yeah, we don't really care about that. So the pandemic, I think we have to really keep perspective. The pandemic upturned life for organizations and people, and MASNA is absolutely having to deal with the ramifications of that. Another thing that I can convey is that we are now post-pandemic, and it's a different world. At least that's how I look at it. And MASNA is kind of, the way they put it to me, it's being held hostage by old commitments that were made prior to the pandemic. And I can't say more than that. But basically, things that they committed to do long before all this happened they're still being held to, even though it may not be appropriate, in our opinions, to be held to those commitments, those understandings. So it was conveyed to me that MASNA felt it was in the best of interest of everyone, given the circumstances still coming out of the pandemic and dealing with a lot of what happened in the wake of the pandemic, that basically it was not time to hold a MACNA, which is why the Philadelphia one was canceled.
Pittsburgh, right? Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Yeah. So that one's not happening, obviously. And so what is going on, they're still wrangling with all these commitments, trying to like get things going in a proper direction and in a beneficial and healthy direction for the organization. So as it was put to me, I'm reading this verbatim quote. MASNA is in the process of redesigning and creating an exciting new format for MACNA, planning to resume in-person MACNA in 2024. So I take this, MASNA's down but not out, and they're fighting, and they're going to do everything they can to make it happen and come back to what we love. I can say that the Aquarist of the Year and MASNA award process is slated to be held this year. We're still going to do it.
Cool.
So even though there's not a MACNA, which is normally where that would be, the people would be recognized and awarded, we're still going to do it. There will still be a new MASNA award recipient. There will still be a new Aquarist of the Year. The board has committed to that repeatedly to me. So we just need to make it happen. We got plenty of time because we're not like beholden to a MACNA deadline. So just kind of watch, be aware if you're already a MASNA member, when the stuff starts coming, get your nominations in. That's the number one thing I need from everyone who can nominate.
And I put the link in the chat there. So MASNA needs people, volunteers. So if anybody out there is interested, follow that link.
Yeah. If you feel you have something to contribute to helping this organization that's been around for decades continue to move forward, money and people are important resources. And I mean, that's the thing. I'm looking at my own club. I have a cookie jar full of money right up there. That's the club money. It's cash that technically belongs to an aquarium club. I have no members. I have no meeting place. What am I going to do? MASNA's not quite that desperate, but that's kind of, you're down for the count. You got to get back up, fight forward, find a new way to go forward with the mission, which is education. And that's one of the things Dennis and I were talking about, was just like, I get the impression that events like a Reefapalooza and an Aquashella are much more commercial. And what I always remember about MACNAs is not so much what I saw on the trade show floor. It's all very interesting. And as my job, I want to see the new things. I want to report that and bring that back. I want to see hot corals and cool fish. But the things I always remember about going to a MACNA are the talks and the people. Yeah. And the people that I get together with every year at that event, at that annual event. And we go to new places all the time. It's not the same place. That can be a turnoff to some, but MACNA in Milwaukee, I know some people were kind of down on Milwaukee.
That was the first MACNA I ever went to.
It was a great venue.
I had a great time.
Yeah, so Keith, you don't need. Yeah, there was nothing wrong. There were almost no problems with the show that I'm aware of. We had an Amazonas and coral presence. We were busy the whole time, so as a business, there was nothing wrong. It's on me to figure out whether it was beneficial or not for our business, but we were busy. I don't know what else I could ask for. If you put the people in front of me, it's my job to make it happen and to convince you all to subscribe and buy magazines. That's my job. That's not Mazna's job. So, if I have a bad monetary return, that's not the organization's fault, in my opinion. I had a good time. I would have gone back to Milwaukee in a heartbeat. It was a great one for me because I could drive. That is a legit factor in getting to some of these events. Is it affordable to get there, to stay there? But yeah, the multiple days, spending time with your friends, the late nights, and that's one of my fondest memories of Jake, actually. I don't remember which MACNA it was at. It might have been the one in Orlando or DC, but I was up at like 3 a.m. with Jake Adams and Justin Credible Grable, and they were arguing something about coral. And so they're on either side of me, and I'm kind of in the middle, and I'm going, well, Jake, he has a good point. Well, Justin, he's kind of right there, like playing this moderator role between two friends and coral geniuses. And like, that doesn't happen in normal life. You have to go to a MACNA. You have to stay up late, ingratiate yourself, walk up to someone at the bar, whatever the case may be, and spend that time with people. But those are memories that I could not get anywhere
I think
else.
My favorite part of MACNA was the Friday night cocktail hour and just meeting people that I hadn't met before and just having great conversations and you know what, it was it's all about connecting with other like-minded folks and just really I think that's such a huge part of my fond memories in terms of getting into reef keeping and going to like frag swaps, that are sponsored by local reef clubs and actually trading frags instead of buying frags, but just seeing people face to face, and I think the pandemic kind of definitely slowed that down, or it made it a lot more difficult the last few years. So it's I think it's something that's very important to the hobby that people should certainly think about if they are near a trade show or a conference, then it is well worth your time to go. I flew out to Reef Stock. I flew out to MACNA, and I had to take a couple of it wasn't a nonstop for me being here in Vermont, so it wasn't easy to get to those places, but the memories that I had were pretty incredible, and so yeah, I think it's so important.
I remember Jake introducing me to ACI and to Chris at a Magna. I remember those conversations, and I think Josh from Clearwater was there too, and we were all just like and Vincent was there. So I mean, like, when else are you going to have all those people in one spot?
It's so true, Matt. In terms of the information that you can gather at those shows by talking, just even being a fly on the wall in a conversation is like amazing.
And the connections that carry beyond, because it's not like, oh, hey, Chris, nice to meet you, and I never talk to you again. It's like 2 weeks later, oh, I need to reach out to Chris about boom, boom, boom. And then you build those, you start those relationships. And when you start a relationship in person, it means so much more. To me, I mean, like, I haven't met you and shook your hand. I'm probably not going to let you into the circle. That's just my like, maybe if I know who you are, okay. But if you're a random stranger sending me a friend request on Facebook, no, not going to happen. If I meet you at an event, oh yeah, we met last week. Yeah, okay, you're cool. You were cool. I liked you. Whatever. Come on in. So yeah, I mean, any event is worth it. I think Magna just being more educational in orientation, and being the club of clubs, Masna rather, in that respect. I feel like the conferences were designed to create more community. And not so much as just a trade show where we're all getting together and having a cool experience. It's the beyond that. So that's really what makes it for me. And to be fair, I haven't spent enough time at any of these other events, so I'm coming at them from an outsider perspective. And from what I hear from my friends, they're probably all wonderful things to do, but I can only do so much. And I like what I get out of a Magna. So that will be, if I have the choice, that will be what I would choose.
You got to go to a restock, man.
I couldn't afford to. That's all it came down to.
Oh yeah, yeah, I hear you.
Well, I mean, there's no direct flights from Duluth any more than there are from Vermont. So we used to joke a long time ago. We used to say Duluth is a beautiful place. We should hold a Magna here. It would probably be pretty affordable to get here. The venues would probably be cheaper. You could hold it right on Lake Superior, and the Great Lakes Aquarium is right there. We've got canal. It'd be wonderful. But no one would come because it's a two connection flight for almost everyone. Yeah. So like, that's the problem.
So dude, we're about an hour and 20 minutes into this thing, and we haven't even talked about fish breeding or fish. And I've seen a couple of questions already. Heron Aquatics is asking this question, and I think there's a revelation you want to or something you want to like tell people. That the question is, how are the coral boar butterfly fish doing your tank, Matt?
Yep, I know the answer. So I want to say it was probably 5 months ago, the Melapterus that I had for a long time passed away. It kind of went, the best way I could describe it, it continued to feed, it continued to do great, and it just went into old fish mode. It just started to lose weight. I mean, I had it for years. And the moment it died, the redfin, the Trifasciatus that I had with it, stopped really eating. It's just perfectly healthy fish. They were the only two in the tank at this point. They have been for years. And the Melapterus dies. So that's the orange and black one. Had 6 or 7 year run. No one's complaining about a 6 or 7 year run with a fish that was never supposed to live. You don't know how old it is when you get it. And the Trifasciatus stopped feeding. The exact same foods it's been eating for half a decade just stops. And it would pick, and it may have been eating here and there, but most of the time I'm pretty objective about fish. I don't like to anthropomorphize fish. They are fish. I view them as fish. They are living objects. They deserve our respect, but I don't want to project human emotions and stuff onto them. But this fish, for lack of a better term, I don't remember who told it to me, but someone said that fish was depressed. It lost its mate. It was depressed. And when I think back to how that fish started to behave, it absolutely would fit that profile of a fish being depressed. And I tried everything I could. It wouldn't eat. It slowly just declined. It withered away. And I want to say it died about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So that project, that pair of fish I had for a number of years. They were wonderful. I feel like they had full and complete lives. I thought I saw them spawn a couple times, but I never collected eggs. So that project is officially, I hate to say it, but dead in the water.
Bummer.
I mean, so those two were like the proof of concept that we could keep these corallivores alive. And I had plenty of proof that I shared in my earlier MACNA presentation, showing how we could get them trained and getting them to eating. And I had a system set up ready to go um, to bring in more of these fish, work at this more systematically. But the pandemic hit. Mini waters, my fish business is basically gone because I couldn't get air cargo here. So I was left with just the little that I was producing. And then FedEx rates were so high I couldn't ship anything. So an interesting twist to all that. I remember talking about my fish business at MACNA, and I think it was 2019, and talking about how I had kind of dipped into vivarium plants as a good hedge for pet shops. And I was telling all the pet shops, hey, someone's not into their freshwater tank or their reef anymore. Show them the dart frog hobby, show them vivarium plants. It's like a terrestrial reef tank. That side of my business just took off, just went crazy during the pandemic and made up for all the lost sales that I couldn't sell fish or anything else. So the business is fine. And like I said in my MACNA talk, it doesn't need to make money anyways. But wow, was it like a really eye-opening experience to just watch like my advice save me. So the revelation that you were hinting at is that with the loss of that corallivore, I've been officially without anything living in saltwater for like 2 weeks. Maybe, about 2 weeks right now. So I'm officially out of the saltwater hobby, but I'm getting right back in. And we can thank Jason Langer down in chat for helping me with that. So the vase reef is getting a reboot, and Jason's helping me with the corals for that. So thank you, Jason. I will see you. I have your beer.
He's in the chat. I see him in the chat there.
He's in the chat.
Oh, yeah. So, All right. Cool. So go ahead.
No, so I'm going to do, I think some people know the vase reef that I shared for a number of years. That got cooked when the heater controller failed. And then when it failed to control the heater, I had it set up so that the heater's thermostat was the backup. And that also failed.
Oh.
So it was a double failure, and the reef was like 100 degrees and everything died. Otherwise, there's no reason that shouldn't have been going. But so we're going to restart the vase reef. I've got some other interesting ideas. I'm kind of in clean slate mode. I've got a fish room with plenty of space, and I have to figure out what I want to do with it. I don't have to get back into the saltwater fish business at all. But I can try some breeding projects. I have some coral farming ideas that I want to just tinker with. I'm not going to stay out of the hobby at all. I'm just going to go new directions because I feel like every time I go a new direction, I discover something of value and of interest, and it keeps it exciting for me. I don't need to go back and breed clownfish again. I just don't. There's nothing new there for me. But breeding coral would be really cool. Being a better reef keeper, being a better freshwater planted tank keeper. I've failed at that every time I try. So I still have room for growth as an aquarist, and that's what I'm looking for. So yes, Chris, the vase reef is coming back. And yes, Jason, frags for beer. That is what we're doing. It's a good trade.
So I am just putting some instructions in the chat, Matt, about the giveaways here, and talk again while I'm typing in terms of what we're giving away, because we're going to do this right now, folks.
Okay. All right. So you've been waiting. You've stuck with Keith. You stuck with me. You listened to all our crazy stuff. We are giving away. Let's do Amazonas first. We're doing 3 2-issue subscriptions. So you get the next 2, not this one, but the next 2 that come. Print subscriptions, US only. So I'm sorry if you're in Canada or overseas. Sorry, you're not eligible this one. It's very expensive to do it. So 3 of these, 3 people, 3 lucky winners will get 2 issues of Amazonas sent directly to their door. And hopefully you'll like freshwater fish, or you already have some and you've never seen it. If you're already a subscriber, thank you. I could add 2 subscriptions, but let someone else win. Let someone see what it's all about. And then Coral, we're going to give away 1 year print plus digital of Coral magazine. And if we get this done quickly, you will get the new issue that Keith previewed today. And for anyone who's not a subscriber, you have until roughly mid-May to become a subscriber and start with that next issue that we previewed at the start of this live stream. So one lucky winner is going to get a year print plus digital to Coral in the US.
So,
all right, and it looks like you posted how to do it.
This is the deal, folks. This is how you enter this giveaway. Go to reefbum.com/contact. That's my contact form on my website. So if you're interested in winning the Coral Magazine subscription, enter Coral Magazine giveaway in the subject line. The 5th person that I get that contact form from will win that 1-year subscription to Coral Magazine. And if you're interested in the Amazonas Magazine giveaway, put Amazonas giveaway in the subject line of that contact form. And we will give the subscription to the 5th, 8th, and 12th person that contacts me via that website contact form to get that subscription to Amazonas Magazine. So yeah, it's out there, folks.
So let's crash this website right now.
I'm looking at traffic right now, and I think we got a bunch of people there that are doing this right now. We got a bunch of folks that are giving this a go. So good luck, everybody out there. In terms of this is well worth the time in terms of doing that contact form.
Oh geez, if you can't put it like there are 78 people watching at the moment right now. Those are pretty good odds.
Yeah, I think so.
Those are great odds.
I think so.
For you don't even have to buy a raffle ticket. You just have quick to get to the website.
Yeah. So
and we could probably figure out who wins pretty quickly here. But for the people who are overseas, I'm sorry if you're not in the US, but I will say the digital only subscriptions are really cheap. I mean, like, let's be fair, $39 for a year in the US for print and digital. How much did you spend on your last frag of Coral? Just your last frag. This is $39 too for print plus digital in the US, and it's like 57 in Canada, 69 overseas for a year. And the price per issue drops when you go longer, 2 or 3 years. And the only thing you got to do is if you move, tell us you moved right away so you don't miss an issue. But the digital subscriptions are like $15-20 a year. It's nothing.
And like I was saying before,
I see like people are throwing $10 bills here in your chat like it's no big deal. Well, throw 20 my way for Amazonas and Coral.
Yeah.
And you get all the content back to 2014 for both of it's ridiculously cheap in my opinion for all the work that goes into it. I am not getting rich publishing magazines, not at all, but I love it. I think what we do is now more important than ever, as we kind of demonstrated a little bit with our fun with AI. It's coming from people and not just one person, and it's coming from a group of people that know what they're talking about. And
Rob Upstate New York, thank you very much for that super chat. Comments always a great chat. And just folks, one more I'll repeat in terms of how you enter the subscription giveaways for these 2 great magazines. Visit reefbum.com/contact. The contact form on my website. And if you want to enter the Coral Magazine sub giveaway, just put Coral Magazine giveaway in the subject line. And for entering the Amazonas giveaway, just put Amazonas giveaway in the subject line. And like I said, the 5th person to contact me for the Coral Magazine sub giveaway will get that subscription. And the 5th, 8th, and 12th person to contact me that's entering the Amazonas giveaway will win a sub to that magazine. So this is a lot of fun, man. This is great.
I have to shout out to Mark down in chat. I mean, that's a big compliment, my friend. Thank you.
Oh, Mark Vanderwall. Hey, Mark. The last few Coral issues have been on fire. Yeah.
I mean, I did see this. I did see this one. It was like, oh, like I saw it on the screen. I read the whole thing before it ever showed up, but I was just like, oh. So yeah, you can remember. If you want to go check it out, just look for the free issue link. I think that's what it says, and it opens up the digital edition, and this is the issue that's going to be in there for the next couple years.
Dude, we got a lot of people that have entered this giveaway here, dude.
Good.
Should I read out a winner here?
Do you have winners for everything? We still need any?
I could say 1, 2.
Come on,
3,
Amazonas
4,
needs some love too.
5. All right, I got a winner here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. We said the 5th respondent for the Coral Magazine giveaway.
Yep.
Harold Sosa is the
Awesome.
winner for
Yes.
the Coral Magazine giveaway.
So Harold, you just need to email your mailing address, email address, and name to Keith, and he'll get it to me, and we'll get it on. So.
And we're still getting the entries for Amazonas. So
no freshwater love.
We got some coming in here. So folks, the Amazonas free subs are still up for grabs, it looks like. So that get on it, people.
Yeah.
Dude, do you have anything else we need to talk about here?
I don't know.
What have we've talked a lot about some pretty awesome stuff, and I know
you asked about Hawaii, and we talked about that.
Yep.
Were there any breeding questions?
Yeah. Anybody out there have any fish breeding questions?
I'm just skimming through our notes. You asked about the Neptune grouper, but I said that's really Kevin and Quality Marine.
Yep.
The copper band butterfly.
Yes.
Yeah. So we did talk about that a little bit. All I can say is that Courtney O's is in a really cool position because he's in a land grant university. His research is effectively, public. So at some point, I don't know when, there will be a lot more info available on how you breed copper banded butterflies. And Courtney feels it's entirely doable as a commercially viable species, is basically how I took it. So that's going to be something to kind of just, if you're into fish breeding, or if you're thinking, hey, I need to do an aquaculture program or project that could be beneficial to the trade, maybe copper banded butterflies. I don't know. What else? Are there any questions in the chat?
Yeah, any more questions in the chat before we sign off here? ACI aquaculture, molten lava. I'm not sure what that means, Chris. You talking about a coral?
The magazine?
Oh,
coral. It's molten lava. It's that hot.
There you go. Yeah. Well, all right, man. Well, listen, man. This was so much fun, dude. I really enjoyed this, and I think everybody out there, the AI stuff is just fascinating to me and scary at the same time. I guess it's scary, and not scary, fascinating.
Well, it's when it could serve as a good tool and a good springboard. I mean, I know there are times where I have to write something. And, for lack of a better term, you get writer's block, and there's only a couple ways around that. And sometimes for someone in that position, if they're not really sure what they want to say, yeah, you could put something into an AI generator, see what it gets you. It might springboard you into something. And my fear is that we're going to replace genuine knowledge and earned experience and wisdom with what a computer software can parrot from the information that's been fed into it. It's only as good as the information that it has. And it can't, one of the arguments I've made is AI is never going to tell you how to breed a new fish. It's never going to be able to tell you how to take care of a coral better. Someone's going to have to go do the work, figure it out, and share it. And AI can't do that. All AI can do is copy it and spit it out as if it was its own. So I think we really need to think hard about where we're going to put our value and the sources we're going to trust as reef keepers. There are a lot of good people doing a lot of good work. But AI has the potential to just fill the internet with garbage and fluff. And it's going to be that much harder to approach anything you're reading without a tremendous healthy dose of skepticism.
Dude, I think we've got some Amazonas.
But trust Amazonas.
I think we've got some Amazonas winners here.
All right, it took a while.
We had to do that extra little prompt there. So we said the 5th. Let's see here for Amazonas. I'm gonna just kind of like eyeball this. 1.
Hey, I get it. You're all saltwater people. I get it.
We got a big.
But hey, freshwater's cool too.
2, 2, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
Eric Sarachin is one winner.
Okay.
Then we got 6, 7, 8. We got Robert D. Beetleson is another winner.
Congratulations, Robert.
And then we've got, that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. James McIntosh is the third winner. So congrats, folks. Like Matt said, whoever I just mentioned, if you haven't put the your name and address in the
you need the complete mailing address, your correct email address, because that ties it to your account, and yeah, your name, obviously.
Yep. So for the folks that we just mentioned in terms of the winners for the Coral Magazine and Amazonas, if you can resubmit that contact form with your full name, address, the proper email address you want to use for that subscription, then I think we're good to go, dude. Yeah. Awesome. Wow. A lot of entries. A lot of entries.
I'm sorry, Reef Sea Forever.
No, Receive Forever won the Coral Magazine subscription.
Reef the Sea Forever did?
Yes.
Oh, he's saying he missed it.
Did he?
He said he was listening to his wife.
Oh, I thought he said thank you.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misread your comment in the chat. I apologize, Sea Forever.
Better luck next time.
Yeah, better luck next time. All right, well, listen, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight, and thank you, Matt. This was like I mentioned, a lot of fun to chat and to have you on the live stream. I also want to thank both Bulk Reef Supply and Ecotech Marine for sponsoring the live stream and supporting the show. I also want to thank all you folks out there for tuning in and watching and contributing via the chat. Also, a big thank you to Paul, who is the moderator of this live stream, as well as the president of the Boston Reefers Society. Please join and support your local reefing clubs. They are so important to this hobby. Finally, I want to let you know that all episodes of Rap on the Reef Bum are available as podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Amazon. My next Rappin' with Reef Bum live stream will be on next Thursday, April 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Tulio Delaquia from Reef Brite. So that should be another great show. The full upcoming schedule of guests can be found on reefbum.com under the YouTube section. Until next time, be safe and be well. Later.